Tim Seeley, Sarah Beatty, and Mirka Andolfo make Superman and Lobo's dreams come true as their respective planets are both reborn anew, but through a simple misunderstanding on Numen's part, both end up on the wrong planets, leading to a series of disastrous events to kick off. Tim Seeley and Sarah Beatty continue their fun adventure and use this middle issue of their series to explore how both Krypton and Czarnia being back affects their respective last sons, with the answer being a pretty hilarious and disastrous series of events. I enjoyed Seeley and Beatty exploring what would Krypton become if they had survived their explosion, and I like the idea that thanks to the stern, cold, calculating science council failing them, a lot of the people decide to just become hippies and not bother with science and instead adopt an open society, while Czarnia is actually revealed to be as bad as Lobo made it out to be, making him right in his decision to actually want to destroy it and all the people on it. Speaking of Lobo, his story throughout the issue was a joy to watch unfold, and him becoming a respected member of this new Krypton society was quite fun, especially with how he deals with certain threats like Zod and even thinks about killing the entire planet until they invent beer and get into bar fights. Like, that's something totally Lobo would do. The only downside is that there is a lot happening within the pages of this issue, and because of it, it feels like a lot of the actual plot involving Krypton's Lobo clones that they want to use to get resources from other planets and the cult that are using these clones gets kind of rushed past and included at the last minute to add a little bit of urgency to the story and give the characters something to battle. Mirka Andolfo continues her just wonderful looking and colourful artwork filled with loads of detail and even better sight gags that heighten the humour of Seeley and Beatty's snappy script. Having a lot of fun with things like Lobo rocking a flower thong for most of the issue, or Superman wearing oven mittens as he's doing garden work. Superman vs. Lobo issue 2 was a really funny, if a little bloated middle issue of this 3-issue adventure that ends on a really cool cliffhanger that has me really excited for the final issue next month. I'm going to give this issue an 8.5 out of 10. Superman vs. Lobo issue 2 finds the Daily Planet in utter chaos following the disappearance of Superman. Lois contacts Batman, who is busy investigating his friend's disappearance, knowing that he's got nothing, and it's as if he and Lobo just vanished. He tells Lois that he's getting another call, but it's in his brain as Martian Manhunter contacts the hero telepathically. Manhunter reveals that he has found a strange occurrence, telling Batman that Krypton has returned. Hal Jordan joins the conversation, saying that that's not all, as the planet Czarnia has also returned fully populated. Hal goes to check on Lobo's birth home, knowing that this has to do with Superman's disappearance, but suddenly he hits a shield wall covering the world. Batman tells Lois that he'll call her back since things are getting weird, as a voice says that humans like to put all their information out via tweeting, so he's going to do the same, sending out thousands of birds to tell the people that he is the being who has given Lobo and Superman a great gift for helping them, revealing that he restored their respective homeworlds, and to ensure their survival, he has shielded the world to make sure no harm comes to them. He tells the people his name is Numen as he ends the message awkwardly. Superman meanwhile tries his best to escape Czarnia, finding his powers are too weak to make him fly, causing him to crash into Mrs. Tribb's garden shed. He apologizes to Miss Tribb, but she knows she doesn't need to worry about that, especially now that she's alive again, so getting out of bed isn't a problem. She thinks he was just sleepwalking, and Clark plays it off as such as the venom rain begins, causing Tribb to erect an umbrella before it burns off Superman's face, telling him that the flying scorpions that Lobo used to kill their species poison the water cycle, and it even makes lemonade making a real adventure. Tribb decides to get Clark home as the hero really appreciates her letting him stay until he's back on his feet. The neighbors all come out to welcome him home as Clark notes how everyone is so nice and unlike the planet he thought Lobo would come from. Tribb merely tells him to go inside and not use that name Lobo outside. On Krypton, Lobo works away in his lab when Dr. Flick comes to see him. Lobo is happy to see her since she is documenting everything he does, meaning he might finally get some credit for how awesome he is. Flick is fascinated with what Numen did for the last sons, knowing that the sociological implications are quite huge. Lobo thinks she's going to love Krypton since it's nothing but nerd crap piled high in the sky, but he hates it, so he's engineered a spiky rectal slug to kill the entire planet. Soon they hear a crash outside, with Flick's sensors indicating heightened levels of testosterone and estrogen. Lobo knows that sound, finding a group of drunken Kryptonians partaking in a bar fight. Lobo had thought the planet was drier than a popcorn fart as he is punched in the face by a woman, who says that it was. That is until she and the others of a cult decided that they were done living by the cold, clinical desire to look forward into the utopian tomorrow. The woman kisses Lobo, telling him that they have decided to return to a more warmer, primal era, making Lobo know that maybe he needs to rethink his view on Krypton now. Dr. Flick goes to see Superman, telling him not to talk to her since she's just observing him and he can continue his superheroics. Clark, however, says there isn't much need for superheroics on Czarnia since there's no crime or natural disasters, hence why he's doing a little yard work. Flick thinks that he's using this opportunity just to get some sun and recharge his powers since they have been lowered thanks to the red-tinted sun. Clark knows that's exactly what he's doing, impressed with the Doctor as the woman knows that he's doing this in hopes that she will get him off planet. But she cannot interfere with them since she is bound by the rules of her profession, and her astro harness won't actually let her teleport him anywhere since it's bound to her DNA only. Flick, however, knows that Clark kinda likes it there, but the hero wants to know about Krypton, told his world is safe and Lobo has found a potential mate there. Clark detects a hint of jealousy in the woman's voice, knowing that she likes Lobo, but the Doctor quickly tells him it's ridiculous and she's just an observer, but she relents and says she finds him really symmetrical. Clark tells her that Lobo is the worst person he's met, and he regularly spends time with Lex Luthor, and even Darkseid has more of a moral code than Lobo. Flick explains that she's attracted to Lobo since he's the antithesis of her stringent job and its rules, and fuels her escapist fantasies. She reveals she finds him quite attractive, but Clark knows that it's always the same with the bad boys, but Lobo is more of a worse boy, wondering why people don't find the good guys attractive anymore. Flick stops Superman, revealing that she's been scanning him, and despite him being in the sun all morning, his power levels are actually going down. Lobo, meanwhile, continues to enjoy Krypton's newfound freedoms, along with Jan S., his newfound love. The man, however, really doesn't like the music she's listening to, being that it's a 12-minute song, but Jan knows it's more than that since the lyrics epitomize the light of Joe Mon's beliefs. The arriving Felkar agrees with Lobo, knowing that if they want to convince Jor-El that this is the right way forward for society, they need something with a bit more heavy metal. Dr. Flick appears and Lobo asks her how his sad sack of a homeworld is doing with Superman. Flick says that Czarnia is thriving now and Superman is beloved by the community, asking how the main man feels about that. Lobo doesn't really care, happy to just chill out with his new friends and cause some socio-political discourse. He says on Krypton, people actually listen to his ideas, and what if the solution to Krypton's environmental problems was just to stop trying to get what they want from the planet and instead take it from everyone else. Some of the hippie Kryptonians don't actually agree with that idea, thinking taking from others is wrong, but Jan and Fel remind them how this is not a time for violence, reminding the others of the free speech that they all enjoy now. Flick is concerned with Lobo and how he's treating his time on Krypton, as elsewhere, Superman tries to sneak out of Trib's house, stepping on a thorn which goes right through his boot. But he stops himself from screaming as Flick appears, finding it interesting that he is in pain, wondering what that feels like to someone like the Man of Steel. Superman shushes her, knowing that she asked a good question the last time they met, so he's doing some journalistic investigation work while Trip is sleeping. Superman knows that he's looking for some empirical evidence to suggest that Trib isn't the nice old lady she makes herself out to be, as Flick asks how he learned such scientific methods, wondering if it's a genetic trait from his Kryptonian parents or he learned it on Earth. Clark asks if his parents are alive again, but Flick only knows Jor-El is, since he's been quite opinionated in wanting to protect Krypton. Superman knows that does sound like him, but only knows his father from his hologram, who taught him from the ship he was sent to Earth in, and told him who he wanted his son to be. While Clark discusses his father, he soon finds a syringe with some blood in it, knowing that if he had his powers he could scan it to confirm it, but asks Flick to use her equipment to see if this is his blood. On Krypton, a meditation class is interrupted by the violent arrival of General Zod, Jax-Ur, and Faora, who have come looking for Felkar, who has stolen Zod's means of getting revenge on Jor-El, demanding he return it and suffer a quick death. Lobo, however, makes an appearance, knowing that his flower power hour was interrupted. He smashes Jax-Ur's face in, grabbing Zod and doing the same to him, as he knows it's a real bummer about the red sun thing for the Kryptonians. Zod tries to tell him to kneel before him, so Lobo complies, kneeling on the man's head and crushing him to death. Faora jumps on his back, thinking that she can take down the brute, but Lobo grabs her grenade belt, setting them all off and blowing up the woman, but barely doing any damage to himself. On Czarnia, Superman and Flick are confronted by Miss Trib, who thinks that the beings were Mrs. Farps trying to kill her. Superman is confused as to why she would think that, as Flick notices the weapon Trib is using is a self-contained solar flare, and this could be where Clark's superpowers have been disappearing to. Mrs. Farps does indeed attack, but Trib blows her up as it's revealed the neighbours aren't as friendly as they were made out to be. Back on Krypton, Lobo was blown through a wall by his explosion, discovering the secret lab Felkar and Janice are running, who both reveal the secret to everlasting peace was locked inside Lobo's genes, and is biofission, which Fel has used to create clones of Lobo, which he will use to invade Czarnia and take the resources necessary for Krypton's survival. Numen meanwhile leaves the universe, returning to where he was born to repower up and suck the energy from the universe, but it was already dead, but other invisible beings still exist, watching him. Back on Krypton, the Science Council meet with Jor-El to discuss some problems, with Jor-El frustrated that they are doing this again, since last time they did this, the planet exploded and they all died. Calyx interrupts them, telling Jor about Czarnia and how it too was reborn like Krypton. Calyx shows them the surface of the world as Flick records her thoughts, knowing it's a bad thing that Czarnia and Krypton suddenly pop back into existence, especially since Krypton created Lobo clones which are currently assaulting Czarnia. Superman tries to stop Trib from attacking, but one of the Lobo clones shoots her in the face, killing her. Despite what she did to him, Superman still mourns her death, donning her solar weapon backpack and telling Flick to teleport him to Krypton so he can end all of this. Flick agrees to, but soon declines since she is only meant to observe and follow her rules. Superman decides he'll do it without her then, dumping the weapon's energy so he can absorb it himself, regaining a little bit more of his powers, telling Flick that he knows that she doesn't want to get involved, but Lobo clones are using teleportation tech much like her harness. She remembers her asking if he inherited anything from his scientist parents, but he doesn't know the answer to that, but he did read up on the superposition principle as he races off to Krypton. Flick looks up the principle, finding that it's the function associated with the disruption of an observed system. Knowing that she has an obligation to act now, Flick teleports to Krypton, where Lobo is giving Felkar a chemical bath in one of the clone tubes before searching for Janice, wanting to kill her for her part in this as well. Since he can't find her, he boots up the teleporter, knowing that Krypton was good while it lasted, heading through the portal and back to Czarnia to kill off his clones. Flick meanwhile teleports to Numen's universe, but the being knows that the worlds of Superman and Lobo are meant to be enjoyed without interruption, but her teleportations have caused quite the distraction. Flick knows that is why she is looking for him, since while she knows he's grateful Superman and Lobo helped him and he really does make for some great science observation, he needs to stop messing with the men and return their lives to normal. She reveals that he messed up and sent them to the wrong worlds and all hell is broken loose because of it, so his gift was the worst thing ever. Numen is so upset with himself, knowing that he has to fix this as he teleports away. Lobo meanwhile is reunited with the regenerated Mrs. Trib, wondering how many times he's got to kill her, but Trib knows that he can't kill her if one of his duplicates kills him, helping Lobo kill the creatures. The two sworn enemies kill their way through the clones, with Trib revealing that she can now see how Czarnia responded to being reborn with violence, making her change her mind, and making her realize that Lobo was right all along, and the people really are hiding who they are, and they really are all monsters. Clark meanwhile meets with his father, who knows all about his son's exploits as Superman, wanting to know how he can help him. Superman shows him the device Miss Trib made and how it draws solar radiation from his blood to make a weapon. Superman hopes the device could be used to temporarily give Kryptonians superpowers to fight off Lobo clones, but Jor finds his son very clever, but it's too late however, since he was aware of the restoration of Krypton and how that would mean the return of Zod and other Phantom Zone criminals who wanted revenge, and he suspected Felkar would be involved in this, which is why he installed a spy with the villain. His wife Lara arrives, revealing that she was actually Janice this whole time and was undercover in the Jomon cult Felkar set up to steal the cloning tech from Zod. Jor reveals that Lara got a hold of the rectal slug that Lobo had developed to kill off all of the Kryptonians, and she implanted one in every one of the clones as a backup, meaning they have a way to kill them off. Superman knows they can't do that since they are sentient beings, but Jor thinks them to be mindless monsters. Clark knows that he could see their emotions, but knows if his father father won't help, he'll save them himself. Dr. Flick appears, telling the heroes they are all in trouble as the clones Lobo and Miss Trib are fighting are all suddenly killed by the slugs inside of them, as Krypton begins to shake thanks to the core going unstable again. Flick reveals that it's Numen fixing his mistake, apologizing to Superman since none of this should have happened in the first place. Lara has a chance to say goodbye to her husband as she disappears from existence, told by Jor-El that he'll soon join her. Jor tells his son that the way he replaced his own plan with one filled with compassion for those who despise him means that he has become more than a father could ask for. He thanks his son for showing him that the most impractical choice he made in sending his son to Earth was actually his best choice ever. Jor-El disappears, as does the planet, and Lobo and Trib finish off their clones, ending their war. The two realize they have much in common, with Lobo wanting to take the woman for a walk on the beach, but Trib suddenly explodes and burns up with the rest of the planet. Luckily, Lobo was saved by Flick and Superman, learning that Flick got involved despite her astro harness supposedly only attuned to her DNA. Flick says that that's true, but by kissing Superman, she shared a small bit of DNA with him and it allows him to use the harness as well. Lobo isn't pleased with having to kiss her after Superman did, but he does so, allowing her to teleport them all to another plane of existence, where the Doctor explains that Numen's power comes from a broken, desolate universe, and every time he uses it, he has to return there to recharge. Superman wonders if she's proposing they go and try and stop him there, but Flick says that she discovered others are trying to find Numen, since his birth killed their universes, and her observations of these people disrupted the system as much as Numen did. So now, to get back at Numen, they must first save him from the Numen Revenge Squad.